Tool. We're doing Tool.
Who are Tool, Kev?
A 90s band. Aren't they alternative rock?
Is this a request?
I think it's probably been a request for years.
Has it?
I would imagine. It is a band we should do, actually. But, alternative rock, isn't that the most banal corporate style of rock ever and not alternative at all? That's what alternative rock is. Oh, God. But no, this is Tool, and that's different. It is a different prospect, okay? So we started with Ænima, which was disappointing, to be honest. I assume this is going to change. We're doing the 3 albums. I think it's going to get better, actually. But, we'll come to that. Because the first song comes on, it's like... Ugh. It's the 90s. It's like, oh no, I'm at Lollapalooza. It's actually really, really good. Okay, bear in mind. But there's a 90s sound to it. So that first song is probably the blandest song on the album. I think it's actually attempted a single. Controversial. Even though it's called Stinkfist. Funny. And actually, there's like a Rage Against the Machine next to the guitar, so that's cool. But I think the guitar is the most boring part of the music, mostly. I think that's the problem. Or when they're riffing. It's the dirgy 90s riffs. But there's some really cool rhythms. There's really cool sounds. As the album goes on, there's a lot of variation. You hear that first song and you think, oh, the whole album's like this, isn't it? And it isn't. Although a lot of it's the production as well, and a lot of it's me picking up on something and think, oh, it's that, and it's creating a barrier for me. The final track is something really cool. I kind of went backwards in a sense and spotted, well, that's the long song, that must be good. And actually, there's a lot of sound effects at the start and the end, but at its best, Can. I heard Can. Tago Mago. It doesn't go as far as Tago Mago, but the commercial end of Tago Mago. And occasionally, the little bits I thought that's kind of Universe Zero almost. When they're not doing the full the bang bang stuff. So that was very cool. You read the reviews, it talks of prog and polyrhythms and things like that. And there's not a lot of that here. There are some nice time signatures and there's some really cool, like, mantras. That's what makes me think of stuff like Can. Drum patterns and song structure, rather than melodies and interesting guitar playing. There's nothing interesting in the tone. The tone of the music is really dull, but because that's the time. It is of the time. It's fashionable, But the what's going on is really cool, interesting, It is dedicated to Bill Hicks. That was the alternate album cover. I think he just passed away. Another dead hero, and they saw a similarity in what they were doing with what Bill Hicks was doing. So initially you think, huh? But I think it's a bit like Beatles and Python. There is a thing there, and I think maybe that's a similar thing in that although he's in a different field, his attitude to it and what he was doing, they saw as what they were doing with music. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we're going to annoy a whole group of 90s douchebags again now. Why is it 90s music makes people so angry? They're angry people. Oh, fuck you. Oh.
It is weird because actually people I come across are either 80s people or that's it really. I don't know anyone who's so dedicated to the 90s.
They must exist. They seem very angry. They're angry people.
Maybe.
They're music gammons. They're just, you can't have a different opinion to me. This album I grew up with is the best album in the world ever in every single way. Nothing you can say. Don't say anything.
Before I say anything, I've just got to...
Okay. He's listening to the album.
Yeah, I thought so. Just had to listen to Hooker with a Penis just to see if what I was thinking was correct.
I love the song title. It's great.
Yeah, you said a lot there, which made me second guess myself because...
Right.
You were saying like you're reminded of Can, Tago Mago and things like that. There's all these like polyrhythms and interesting stuff like that.
I didn't hear any polyrhythms, but I do hear nice time signatures and some really interesting you know, like Can, that kind of thing.
And actually, Stinkfist, I thought, well, that could be a Frank Zappa title. This is a bit of you know,
it's true.
Interesting title. Sounds very angry, very controversial. And yet I'm listening to it and I'm thinking, this sounds like Nickelback.
Yeah,
something gone wrong there.
Yeah, the texture of the sound sounds like Nickelback. The notes and the structure and the rhythm does not at all.
Yeah,
that's the point.
Yeah. So where do you go from there?
So I've got to get past that to enjoy it. That's the problem.
I mean, actually, the intros generally are pretty good, but when you get into the nuts and the bolts of the song, it actually the crazy titles almost sound like compensation.
For the blandness.
Yeah, we're trying to inject some controversiality in there, and that's probably where they see their relationship with Bill Hicks.
Yeah, to them, they're being subversive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, Bill Hicks actually had several phases to his career.
Yeah, changed quite a bit, didn't he?
Yeah, and at the latter part of his career, it was actually much more
confrontational.
No, I think he was more of a unifying figure.
Oh.
He was more of a sort of a spiritual figure, I would say.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realise that. I thought he was just angry and all that stuff. And
there was definitely that period where he was very angry and hyper controversial, and when I'm
sure everyone's seen that interview with the two bland TV personalities where he's just they don't understand even what he's saying, and he just gives up. and there's this that they're just as exasperated as he is. Why are you doing this? You should be doing gags like on TV.
Yeah. And obviously Goat Boy from Relentless, I think it was. I mean, that's incredibly dark. But he does talk about, but that sort of turns it. I think that turns into sort of like an anti-establishment thing, because he does the whole Waco thing, doesn't he?
Yes.
He goes to see what's happened at Waco, and then I think that sort of triggers a different period, and then sort of like the final albums and final shows he does, they're not sort of uncontroversial, but there's an element of saying, look, we're all in this together, sort of thing. And he brings out the spirituality of his drug experiences and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah, I know. Yeah, he does, didn't he? Yeah,
there is a definite change. And, I found his earlier stuff, which was just straight up, whoa, you can't say that.
I mean, Frankie Boyle kind ofness.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did find some of it funny.
Yeah, it's funny, yeah, definitely.
But it's nowhere near as intelligent as his later stuff, I would say. And they're probably associating it with his early stuff. I don't know. It's probably all bullcrap. But I mean, I'm just thinking of the song titles and the type of music. There's a definite anger there, yeah?
Yes. Well, the snippet at the end of Bill Hicks is him talking about if you're against drugs, we'll throw away all your albums because they were all inspired by drugs.
Yeah. But that's like a bland observation for a joke, There's not really any depth.
No, that's just a quote of a joke that he did. Yeah.
So what they're saying is, we're on drugs as well, and we're making music. Yeah. It's got to be good.
Yeah, man. So cool. Gonna play Lollapalooza.
Yeah.
And sing with nerves.
So yeah, actually, a little bit expectations not met.
And me. Remember, I've heard Tool before. I just haven't listened to albums, and I was really disappointed.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to change. I think that's what it is.
I mean, there's a title, Die Eier von Satan. That sounds pretty dark. It's Germanic, and it says Satan in it.
Satan. This
should be dark stuff.
Mm-hmm. You put it on, and it's and I'm singing, but I'm so distorted like this.
But yeah, apart from that, great.
Stinkfist. And they had to change the title to market it, right? And they now regret it, and people talk about, it's censorship, terrible, and Tool will fight against the censorships. But what do you expect when you're courting MTV land, And in that sense, they are being really subversive in that they're right in the middle of Bland Central, and they've got a song called Stinkfist. And there's really cool things happening with the rhythms, and it's really interesting, good music at a time when there isn't supposed to be any interesting, good music. we'll probably talk about how they subsequently rejected that world that they were in.
I mean, how controversial can it be that it's Sony music, you know?
It's so, yeah.
It can't be that controversial.
Yeah, parental advisory, explicit lyrics. The question will be, have they subsequently changed their mind, or have they're in denial and say that they never did it, you know? But obviously there's a massive commercial push to the sound. Like you said, it sounds like Nickelback.
It's like Rage Against the Machine with Nickelback vocals.
That's really harsh. But yeah, in terms of texture, yeah. But Rage Against the Machine have really good clarity in their production. This doesn't have that type of production. You can hear the Rush influence on this, and actually, I suspect, I don't know if they would have ever said that, or if they ever would now, or whether back then they wouldn't have said. You can't say Rush, because Rush has real clarity in the production. It's really good in the early stuff. I don't mean the mid '80s, and this doesn't have that. This has the dirgy, and I mean that sound comes from partially from the Black Album, which has the best sound in the world. It's guitars, but mixed in with. It's got to be dirtier than that. That's not dirty enough to be massive clean guitars. You've got to be dirty.
Stick it to the man.
Yeah, because subversion.
You can't hear our guitars properly.
So rebellious. And you can also hear. I hear. Okay, this is another thing where fans of the time might heads might explode. But I hear the Nirvana bits in there as well. Which for me, that's a Nirvana thing, and that's very bland as well, and that's the Nickelback thing as well. It's the same thing. It's interesting that we're today we are reviewing two albums, and we've just done one was last week, and we're doing this one, and Afraid of Sunlight, and it's interesting. I think they're the same year. Oh no, this is 96. That's 95, and it's interesting how the
reviews are basically the same.
Yeah, yeah.
Completely different types of music.
Yeah, one band is terminally uncool. One band is terminally cool, and playing the subversive card, even though they're massive corporate MTV, Sony music thing happening that sounds like Sony music of 1996. And they both had they both got that underlying blandness that they have to overcome. I'm sure this overcomes it much better than Marillion.
Well, what you can say about this is. Maybe they're trying to bring the course, because you said you heard Universe Zero in there.
Yeah.
You know, I was listening for / hoping for Nurse with Wound type things.
Yeah, they never go that far.
Never go that far.
Not in 1996.
But
to sell on
what you can say is
records.
maybe they're trying to bring that into sort of like more mainstream music.
Yes.
Which is a noble pursuit.
Yes.
And probably a pursuit doomed to failure or only partial success. And maybe you could say that they are actually partially successful.
I'm hoping, I'm pretty sure, because I've already heard Tool stuff before. I must have heard later albums that it's going to change. It's going to get, there won't be any Nickelbacking later on.
No compromise.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can hear, though, the influence they had on King Crimson, the double duo, but not the projects, sadly. It's that part of it. It's the not the whatever that is. I mean, I didn't have time. I only had I've had this for 2 weeks. I've listened to it a few times, but I've only had it for 2 weeks. So I wanted to listen to their earlier stuff. There's an album before this, and there is also an early period before that. I wanted to hear that to see where they come from. I suspect I'd probably hate it, though. It would probably be banal, dirgy rock, American rock. Who are they hate Bon Jovi. It's like Oasis saying they wanted to smash Sting and Phil Collins. It's like got to do with anything. So yeah.
Was it a seller? Did this actually sell?
Oh yeah, they're a big band, aren't they? A big cool band. And in that context, it's fantastic, because you think of the boring bands of that time that were big on Sony Music. Very hard to egg. I think. Well, an egg is a personal thing, isn't it? And I think this has to be 3 eggs. Now, it's possible over months it will become 4 eggs for me, but it's not 5 eggs, so it's 3 eggs.
Yeah, I agree.
Good music.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to get better than the other albums we're going to do.
That's good. Ooh.